from Techies and Geeks.
So you guys are two of the most accomplished voice actors on the planet at
Thank
this
you.
stage in your career.
Thank you so much.
So what's it like putting together an episode of American Dad?
It's a living nightmare. No, it's a real blast. We get together when they give us the script. We get to sit around the table and actually read through the entire show, which is unique in animation. They don't do that a lot. Normally you do scenes piecemeal or maybe one actor recorded at a time, but we at least get to go through the whole story like you're putting on a sitcom or a show before we record a couple of days later.
And then we record individually, which I always think is so fascinating when you actually watch the episode, to think that none of us were in the same room together. We're all just doing the lines wild, and then they piece it together, and it comes across so seamless in the end.
What can we expect from the new season? It's a new home, new network. What can we expect?
You know, I think this is sort of the slogan. What is it? It's same chin, bigger balls. Is that what it is?
Yes, or bigger fill in the blank.
Or bigger fill in the blank.
If it's a children's magazine.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, what we're really excited about is we get 2 shits and a douchebag per episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
that's pretty
Is that
exciting, right?
for real? You actually
For
get
real.
Yes, that is for
I'm
real.
serious.
Nice.
Being completely
That
serious.
sounds like an episode name.
Doesn't it?
Two shits and a douchebag.
The show is
Maybe.
actually.
But you mean literally, actually, just. in terms
Actually,
of-
literally, we get
We can
the
say the
freedom
word
to
shit
say
2 more
shit
times.
twice
And
and
douchebag
douchebag in every episode, which of course we can't do on Fox. So.
And since you guys work a lot in mainstream television, I imagine that's very freeing as voice actors.
Right. Well, yeah. The oversight of censors and all is not as constraining. Lord knows they got away with all kinds of wonderful, inappropriate things on Fox Network, but they're actually freer to take the show a little further on TBS. So I think fans are going to really love that.
Will the politics maybe change a little too? Because sometimes, you know, in terms of what kind of message he's allowed to say, and think that maybe that Fox executives, when they got Steph's, you know, final script, would be like, you're taking it a little too far there, and then TBS is like, you know what, we don't give a damn. Say what you want.
Well, you know, just from my angle, I've never experienced much, surprisingly or interestingly, that kind of any sort of political coloring of the restraints that may be in place for American Dad. I mean, surprisingly, it's just some very. Although I must say that the show is kind of an equal opportunity offender in many ways, but. Yeah, I can't say that we have more freedom to be politically one way or the other because it's
Or more incorrect.
Right. No, we.
Or incorrect.
At this point, your character has done pretty much everything. Right?
and everyone, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is left for Roger at this point? Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not Roger.
I'm
I'm
not
Klaus.
Roger.
Klaus.
This is
That's
Klaus.
Klaus.
No, Klaus. Well, Klaus has gotten his body back too.
Right.
So what's left for Klaus at this point?
Uh,
Getting it back again?
Do we have another body back episode coming up? Not this season.
I don't think so.
No, not
Yeah.
this season.
It's just living in the fishbowl.
And yet you're in it a lot more. I feel like the last couple seasons, Klaus has been
Yes,
much more
he's,
heavily featured.
Yeah, they're
In the
dialing
new
up more
episodes.
Klaus.
A dead fish up, you know, dead fish. And wife,
To sleep with the
children.
fishes.
Do you guys ever get the scripts and just look at them and go, what the hell am I saying? Like, what's going on here?
Sometimes. Actually, this is a joke, but Wendy and I, more than anyone, will sit down at the table and literally be like, I don't get this. I don't get this joke. I mean, really, the first 2 seasons, it was all of us explaining these horribly offensive, dirty jokes to Wendy because she was just like, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah.
You know? This is what it means.
Now we brought her over to the dark side.
Yes, we
and
brought her
she
to the dark side. She
understands,
doesn't
I think.
ask very much anymore.
Right, right.
But usually it's pretty clear. I mean, the writing and the setup is pretty clear. Sometimes the references are very obscure, and we may not get that, and we may have to ask one of the writers to either explain it or to maybe even give us a line read. But typically we can probably get it.
Well, and I'll tell you, there have been numerous table reads where I have blushed sitting down. 60 people in this room, I have to say this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely, not that way in any other show that I do.
You guys had a lot of rumored cool guests being on the season. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's Patrick Stewart as a
Nice.
special guest this season. There's
Wait, that counts still as a special guest?
well, he's special.
He's special.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I
Right?
thought
He's
he was-
Anything
always
he's on.
I thought
Yeah.
he was kind of a
Yeah.
cast member at this
I know.
point.
Well, okay. All right then.
We have Uma
We'll
Thurman.
take it. Don't worry.
We got Uma
Nice.
Thurman.
She did an episode.
Oh, wow.
Kathy Bates, Ted Danson.
Dancing.
I think, yeah. In this season, I think that's
Yeah, those are
what
coming
we
up.
have.
We have to keep it clear because we're recording
Season-
next year's season
Right, we're already
now.
doing
Oh,
season
really?
10.
So all we're talking about for this season was recorded like
Almost a year ago.
A year ago.
Wow.
And we haven't seen the episodes. Yes, Little Cat Girl.
Do you have a favorite season?
Do I have a favorite season?
That's a good question.
That is a good question, and I don't know that I do. I feel that the show has gotten. It has started out very, very solid and just swung wildly with all kinds of crazy ideas. And on our new home TBS, I think they're taking it further. And the shows feel really solid and funny. They feel really, really confident and good.
They do. The last two seasons or the season and a half that we've done for TBS, I think, honestly, this is some of our funniest material. Really, it's a really strong
I
showing.
think fans will definitely feel that way.
Has the creative process changed since Mike Barker left the show, or
Good question. I would say no. I mean, for us, it was obviously, it feels a bit different, but I think for the most part, it's felt fairly consistent. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I miss Mike a lot, and he brought a lot to the show. But the folks that they have doing it, many of whom have been doing it for a very long time, it didn't feel like there's a major change in the tone or the content of the show. It still feels like American
It
Dad.
does. Yeah.
How much room do you guys have for improv when you're recording? Is this a script-heavy show, or is there a lot of, goof around?
It's pretty script heavy,
Yeah.
but I think when it comes down to it, I think we know our characters as well as anyone, and so if there's something that we feel like we could change, I mean, I'll say that to Weitzman. Hey, I think that Haley might, call Stan Papa in this scene because in this sort of joke she usually does, and I'll say, no, that's great, let's do that. So there's a little bit, but it is a very script heavy show.
Yeah, it's run more like a usual on-camera sitcom, where the writers are really running the show. They've been crafting this script as a team for months, and they want their words and their jokes said
Right.
pretty much as they've crafted this and honed this. And so usually we end up giving that read. Although we'll try our little variations and additions, and sometimes we can make that work, and sometimes we're just going to give them exactly what they want.
Yeah.
How long does it take to film an entire season?
The whole season?
Yeah.
I mean, from start to finish,
Yeah.
from writing it to
So,
when it
well,
comes
for
back.
you guys filming with the voice.
For us, we can do about, I think, 6 or 7 months, right? We will have done 15
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's pretty much what it takes.
We'll record. We'll do a table read on a Wednesday, and then record on a Friday, typically after they kind of rework the script, which they usually don't do much. And we do maybe is it like 2 episodes a month, or
2 or 3 a month.
maybe 3?
Yeah. And then, I mean, from start to finish, though, from writing to fully animated is about 10 to 11 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the show is obviously in its 11th season. What one element do you each think has kind of given it the legs to last this long?
I think it's a show with a point of view, but as I said, it's an equal opportunity offender, as Seth likes to say, and that's to say it's not a show just to be offensive, but it's making a point. It's an intelligent show with sort of a traditional family structure, sitcom structure as its backbone. So you care about the characters, and you like the characters, and ultimately I think the writing is really good.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think personally, and I've heard a lot of fans and people say this, that Roger is one of the strongest characters on TV right now, and I think our writers understand him so beautifully, and there's so much room with that character, with all of his different personas, to take him in so many different directions. And obviously, he's so heavily featured in so many of the episodes.
Yeah.
I think the writers have really stayed true to our characters, and I mean, the fans. We have great fans. We have fans that have really stayed true with us too.
It's interesting how those characters, how some of the characters switched up from the very start. Because Roger, it started out like, oh, he's the alien, but we can't let anyone find out.
Right.
And that was a whole thing.
Right.
And very quickly they just dispensed with that. It's
Yeah.
like, that's not what's funny or what's important about this character. Or like Klaus, for instance, was sexy fish. You know, he wants to, see Mama's
That's
cleavage and
right.
all of this, and I want to get together with Francine. And it's like pretty much, it's like, nope, it's actually more about how he can't get out of his bowl, and he's completely
so
effective
neglected.
Yeah.
and neglected. And that's what works about Klaus. But
Right.
sometimes with a sitcom, you can't really know that until you put it on its feet, so to speak, and try it out for a little bit. And it's like, oh, that's the part that works.
And that's the thing. I mean, giving some credit where credit is due to Fox, they left us alone. They really let us kind of stay at 9:30 and grow for many, many seasons. And there aren't a lot of shows that have had the privilege to be on for that long and evolve into what we have now. So TBS is getting a show, I think, right now that's pretty beautifully well balanced and ready to keep going for a while.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with the way they handle Family Guy with that coming back and you guys getting that room to grow?
That's a really good point, and it absolutely could be, because obviously that show was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, and I think you're right. I think maybe they just sort of left us alone, and because we really have grown over the last 9 years, I guess, and so I think you're right.
So a decade into the show, do you still find room to develop your characters, or at this point do you guys kind of go in, do your, the character, you've got it down, it's what it is?
I think also it depends on which direction they're taking our characters. I mean, Haley, she got married a couple seasons ago, and then Jeff was lost in space, and Jeff has come back. So there's a lot of room, and now she's back with Jeff, and they're living under Santa Francine's roof again. So there's definitely an evolution, at least for my character. So I feel like it's constantly changing.
And it's nice too that because you have the kind of the traditional family sitcom setup is you've got based on really strong, clear relationships, and that because it's animation, you can take that wherever you want. You're not constrained by set budgets or location shoot budgets or anything like that. You can do anything with this that you want. And they do. They as the fans will see, they keep pushing it this new season.
Speaking of bonds and relationships, is there any part of the family do you think Klaus is bonded to most at all, in particular?
It's the way that it seems to be steering recently is that he's hanging out a good amount with Roger and with a lot with Roger.
I feel like. Yeah. I think
kind of the
Roger
outsiders.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot was made of the Simpsons Family Guy crossover episode. If you guys could do another crossover episode with maybe a cable show, who would you want to do it with?
Walking Dead.
I would go Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Both good fits.
Oh yeah, there we go. Well, they're good family
Really
shows.
good stuff.
Those are good family shows too.
Exactly.
Yes, Cat Girl.
Anything you disagree about the new change?
What's that?
Is there anything you disagree with the new change?
Disagree with the
Change.
From Fox to TBS? Honestly, no. I mean, so far it's been a really smooth transition for us.
Yeah.
There really hasn't. I mean, again, with the exception of sort of the freedom of the writing, it's been pretty seamless. And I have to give it to TBS. They are promoting the show in a way that really makes us excited.
They're
they're really
very-
getting the word out, and they're enthusiastic.
very much so, and they really want this show to be seen and to be kind of a crown jewel for them, something that's very unique in that realm of cabledom, and we certainly want it to be that for them too. So it seems like a very good partnership all the way around.